What's up, nerds? Welcome back. Christmas may be over, but the comic book reviews are not. So let's get back out into nature with Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, number 2. So before I actually back into the story itself, I just want to take a second to appreciate this cover because I really want this just as like a painting, you know what I mean? Like to hang on my wall. I feel like I don't even need to tell anybody that Sheena is just a nice picture, you know what I mean? So anyway, every time I look at it, I'm reminded, I'm like, I just need this as a poster to like throw up on the wall, but whatever. Anyway, so let's get back into the story. If you will remember, Sheena was brought in to deal with this situation in basically a biodome, and she had to like figure out what's killing a whole bunch of people and all of the animals. So she gets there and finds that it's this, a giant glowing leopard, right? That's a leopard. Anyway, so she sees it's that, and then this is where actually we're picking up. As soon as she figured that out, this is where we're picking up with the fight. So she does manage to dodge it at first, but then it comes back and does manage to slice at her chest, but you can see the wounds aren't that bad. And that's kind of important because, I mean, everything else this thing has found, it's basically just killed very quickly. So the fact that it didn't kill her when it probably could have is a little bit interesting. So we see where she's still on the calm thing with what's his name, Ransom, and he's telling her like, wait a minute, I'm picking up on some other vital signals that are coming your way, but these are human. So she's basically saying like, well, they're only gonna get in the way. And then as she's saying that, the damn cat like breaks her bow. So she's like, well, shit. She pulls out a knife and then like cuts at its leg, and then it's, I think one of its, yeah, just the leg. So she's saying like, you're a big girl, and then it like leaps at her again, but this time it gets shot by these guys, these stereotypical like hunter types. Like you even got the one guy in like the full-on safari outfit with the little glasses and everything. I was like, wow, we really are taking it back to pulp days. But anyway, so they shot the damn thing, which distracted, and then they're like, my god, that's huge, like we all need to just shoot it as many times as possible. So she's basically telling them, no, you're gonna piss it off. And then yeah, that's exactly what they do, because as we can see from these 4 panels, it just like rips straight through them. Like they don't even slow it down even a little bit. So she watches basically all of them get murdered, and then the cat runs away, which I don't really know how it got away from her without seeing her, considering it's a huge glowing leopard. And I mean, it just killed them and then ran away. Like she was standing right there when it happened. So I don't know why all of a sudden she's like, wow, you're fast. Like it's already gone. I'm like, well, didn't you see which way it went? But whatever. So she goes looking for it, sees that it's gone, and then this is where Ransom gets on the comms, is like asking like, what the hell happened? Because those vital signals I was just reading coming from your location, yeah, they all went just from normal to 0 very fast. What the hell happened? So she's saying like, who were they? And he's like, were? Oh, so you mean, she's like, yeah, they're all dead. They pissed it off. So she says, if we're to work together on this, you need to heed my counsel. Because she said like, you should have listened to me. She's basically assuming you just sent these people to my location to kill this thing, and that's not what I told you were going to do. He's like, and then she says, do you know the 8 signs which signal warm-blooded creatures are lying? Which I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently it is, and she can detect 2 of them over the comm system. So I was like, all right. So he says that I don't know what you're driving at. I told you we lost contact with our security team, and you just found out why. So she's like, all right, well, I say this not in jest, but we may do this my way, or a lot more of your people will die. So he's basically saying like, all right, fine. What is it we have to do next? And we see where she comes to this little spot. She's getting ready to like, well, first she has to like kind of seal up her wounds. So that's where she picks these leaves and she kind of like chews them up to put like on the wound. So I have no idea what it is, but she knows better than I would. So she lays down to go to sleep again. He says like, oh, I see you're still sleeping like the natural way or whatever. She's basically just telling him, is there a reason you're still observing me? And he's like, well, I mean, they have surveillance, you know, like cameras all over the place. She's like, okay, yet you still could not locate a single apex predator the size of a hippo, a glowing hippo, which is a good point. You would think it'd be pretty easy to see on all the damn cameras, but he says, you're there to find it. Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out how it got there in the first place. So she's like, wait a minute. Are you saying you didn't release this thing in here with like all the other animals? He's like, hell no. Why would we do that? It would have obviously fucked everything up by like eating people and things. So no, we didn't bring it in. It just, the main thing is that you're in there with it now, which means that its days are numbered. And she says, well, that might not be the necessary solution. Like maybe there's some sort of way that I can sedate it, and then from there we can say, oh, no, 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 we're not taking that chance. You're there to put that thing down. That's the deal. And so she's saying like, well, that wasn't the deal. It's like, oh, really? Says the person who's bleeding out. So I guess that's kind of good reasoning. Is like, well, it already hurt you, so obviously you know it will kill even things that aren't trying to kill it, because you weren't trying to kill it, right? So, which she wasn't. And then she says, let's see how events transpire. I most certainly need to learn more about this opponent before I can hope to overcome it. It's like, all right, yeah, fair enough. I'll see if I can get, management to spare you a little bit more time. So she says, well, I would appreciate it. I wish to examine the attack sites again in the morning, so maybe now you can just like leave me the hell alone so I can go to sleep, unless you plan to watch me further while I'm doing that. And he's like, no, no, no. That's not how I get my jollies with this face. Anyway, so we see where it comes over to him talking to the chick that hired her, and she's basically saying like, how's it going with her? And he's like, well, it's fine. And then she wants to know like, okay, but is she catching on that we have an ulterior motive? He's like, oh, of course she's going to figure that out. Like, just give her enough time. It's really a matter of when. So she's saying, well, look, the biggest thing is we have her here working for us. Either she kills it or it kills her. Either way, it's not that big of a problem. We win. He says, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But if she's like, oh, do shut up. So she says, we have everything under control. What the hell was that? So it says, those idiots must have ignored the recall signal. What do we do? So that's where, yeah, we see they sent them in there and they just didn't, come back when they told them, yo, don't go after it any further. It's not safe. So now they're all dead. And then we see where this thing is also apparently tied to Sheena in some way, because it's been watching her and following her, and it has an interest in her. That's why I was saying earlier, like, it slashed her, but it didn't kill her when it could have. So I don't know exactly what that's going to turn out to be. I know that she's in here because they said that they have her precious pets also kept captive, so I don't know if this is going to be one of them, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, so she wakes up and then she's like going back to the attack sites or whatever. And as she's going, she stops and notices these curare plants, which I think those are those things that they use for like the darts that like trank people, right? I think. Anyway, I was going to look it up and I completely forgot. So here we are learning together, possibly. And so she's saying like, oh yeah, these could be used for whatever she takes them with her. And then she sees another one of those symbols she's been seeing all over the place, even though they've been different from like different cultures. So she's looking at this one. She's like, I think this is the one that you identified earlier as voodoo. Like it's from that same type of marking. Like, can you tell what it is? So he's basically having them like look over it. And then he's saying the first one looks in keeping with the others, all right, but there's no record of these particular symbols in any of our databases. Having trouble with the second one. But one of the eggheads here reckons maybe Native American. She's like, wow, yeah, all that technology and all those breakthroughs, and your technology basically contributes nothing at all. And she's saying, explain to me once more how Cardwell Industries is creating a better world. He's like, well, maybe if we had something a little more solid to work with. She's like, all right, whatever. So she comes across like where these other people died. She's like, man, these people did not die well. And she says it's messy. Their injuries are consistent with the previous cases, more of the great beast's work. They have been dead for at least 3 days. So he's like, well, that tracks with the last time any guests checked in. She's saying, guests? Let me ask you something. Do you take it upon yourself to like arm everybody to the teeth who's supposed to be like a guest, a tourist? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, the only people I told you before, we send out like 2 armed sentries with them. She's like, all right, I believe you said pair. She says, what? He's saying, what? I don't. She says, I count 7 weapons and 2 escorts. So he's like, I started in security, Blondie. Before that, special forces troops are routinely allowed personal sidearms. She says, I don't think men have 1.5 sides each. So he's like, yeah, funny. Could be that one of the other security teams stopped by and armed some of the patrons with better defenses once they heard that something was taking down their peers elsewhere in the park. She's like, oh, I see. So along with the towels by the pool, you provide weaponry. She says, Cardwell Industries has a curious approach to tourism packages. And he says, listen, if there's something we're missing here, I'll make sure my team finds it. She's like, all right, fine. In the meantime, I need to ascertain exactly where the beast is. And then before she can actually finish that question, all of a sudden she gets attacked by the damn thing, which kind of just throws her into this tree. And we see where she hits her head pretty hard. So she's kind of lying there just knocked out and shit. And then like I said, the damn cat comes up to her. It sniffs at her, and it's like, all right, yeah, you never mind. And then it goes back over to the dead bodies and like hits one of them out of the way, which is just a torso. I was like, what a dick. But anyway, she starts to kind of wake up a little bit, and then we can see where Ransom is just like yelling, like, "Are you okay? Are you there?" She's like telling it, "Shh, she'll hear you." So she's walking, and they do that classic thing where she like steps on a twig and it snaps. So it turns around and sees her, and then it starts coming at her, and then she now has one of the rifles, so she's telling it like, please, I don't want to have to do this, like, you have to stop. And then it keeps coming for her even more, because she does try shooting at it, but she doesn't shoot at it, she shoots, like, as you can see, at the ground beneath it. So it comes in all pissed off and everything. She points it at the like the damn thing's chest, and then it just leaves her alone. Like, she could have very well have pulled the trigger, and I guess maybe that's why it left her alone. This thing seems to have some sort of intelligence. So even she sits up and she's like, what in the name of Paititi is going on here? So I'm like, I don't know either, because that's pretty weird. What's up with the cat? Why does it seem to like you that much? I get it, you're Sheena, queen of the jungle, but I don't think it knows that. So I don't know. There are questions upon questions wrapped up in a mystery, and I have no idea. I don't know where that's going to go, because it's just, I like jungle-ish stories, but I don't read them all that often, so I don't really know very many of like any common tropes from like jungle stories. So I don't know what's going to happen with this animal thing. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting story. I mean, Sheena's really cool, you know what I mean? She seems to have a lot of knowledge of the jungle, which you would expect if she's queen of the jungle. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where this is going, and I'm enjoying the story. We're only 2 issues in, but it's still interesting to me. I like a good mystery, and like I said, I don't always need like superpowers and shit to enjoy the book. So I don't know. I'm going to keep picking it up. I hope that this like glowing radioactive animal doesn't turn out to be some sort of scientific experiment, because aren't they always? I hope it's something more mystical. That's what I'm kind of hoping for, if anything. I'm hoping for a mystical explanation for this, because I like magic stuff. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, if anyone is keeping up with this, if you've read it, if you have any thoughts here, do feel free to share them with me down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you've liked the video, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you have the notification bell hits. That way you know when I'm putting out new content for you. But if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, then I'll see you on my next video.